today we are going to be making the veggie chicken nuggets. So let's start. We're going to be cutting the onion. So onion can be a bit of a tricky one to get kids involved in the kitchen. It often ends in tears and more from the fumes of the onion than from anything else. But there are some ways that we can get the kids involved. First step is we want to be cutting the top and the bottom of the onion. Then from here, it's actually an excellent idea to get the kids to be involved in peeling off that outer skin. That can be a great job for little fingers. Yeah. So peeling it right back. That's also a really good idea to have a scrap bowl nearby. There we go. So once we've peeled it, we're just going to be finely chopping or dicing this onion today. So the best way to do that, I find, is to cut it in half, and then from there I'm going to slice it and then turn it on its side and dice it from there. That's one of the easiest ways to get small pieces for this recipe. That's one way that we can prep the onion. There's also different gadgets that you can purchase and have in the kitchen, which can make it a bit easier to have the kids involved in a task like this. And this is something that we just call a mini chopper. You can get this from lots of different stores. And what you do first is you just cut the onion into quarters. So you'll have chunks about this big. And you can pop that in the chopper. Pop the lid on. And then this can be a really fun activity for the kids to get involved, where they have to pull the chopper. And we've got little blades that are spinning in there to chop it nice and small. So mine are done and they're cut quite small. So what we'll be doing next is the garlic cloves. So today I'm using fresh garlic. So what we need to do for this one is to cut the top and the bottom off and peel off the skin, very much like we did with the onion. So with this recipe, if you do have minced garlic in the fridge, you can use it as well. We're just going to put that onion and garlic into that bowl. Next, we'll be moving on to our carrot and zucchini. So these ones we're going to finely grate. So if you have a grater like this one, look for the one that's got the small holes rather than the bigger holes. Only because by having smaller pieces, when we're making smaller nuggets, you're not going to have larger chunks of carrot and zucchini through there. You'll rather have small flecks of colour. You'll also notice that I'm not peeling the vegetables. I have given them a good wash, but we're not peeling them today. Reason why is a lot of the nutrition is actually kept under the skin, but it also adds some more vibrant colour. So we're getting the darker green here with the zucchini, but it's light green inside. So we're going to get some more colour put into the meal as well. Once you've done the zucchini, we can move on to the carrot. So same again, I'm not peeling the carrot. Just give it a good wash before use, and then you can grate straight away. So the next step is quite an important step. We're actually going to squeeze the moisture out of the zucchini and the carrot. So there's a lot of water held within, particularly zucchini, that if we were to mix that through the mixture, we're going to end up with quite soggy nuggets. So we want to be squeezing out some of that liquid now. And then once you've squeezed it, you can put the remaining flesh into the bowl that we put the onion and the garlic in. So just squeezing in your hands. I just do one small handful at a time. And whilst messy, this can also be a great step for kids to be involved. In this dish, carrot's quite a well-accepted vegetable amongst kids, so that's a nice bridging food, something familiar that the kids have seen before. And zucchini adds that beautiful extra colour, so we can talk about things like rainbows with the kids and trying to get them to embrace that colour. So the next part of the dish, so we've got carrot, garlic, zucchini and onion in the bowl, and next goes in is the breadcrumbs and the chicken mince. So we're going to use 500 grams of chicken mince, so that tends to be a packet. So we're going to need half a cup of breadcrumbs. So the excellent thing about breadcrumbs, you can buy them in a packet from the shop, but if you've got some frozen bread, for example, you can actually grate up some frozen bread and it will turn into breadcrumbs, which you can use in a dish like this. We're going to need 1 teaspoon of mixed herbs. So you just want to be mixing it in until all that veggie is spread throughout evenly. And the chicken is broken up as well. So this recipe will make 20 nuggets. Depending on who's in your family, you may want to alter the size. So I have toddlers in my family, so we tend to go on the smaller side, just so that they're nice handheld bite-sized pieces when they come out. But you can also make them larger into things like burger patties. So on those sort of smaller bread rolls, these work quite well as burger patties. Do be mindful that the larger you make the nuggets, the longer they will take to cook. So my mixture's quite well mixed now. You've got the zucchini and the carrot spread evenly throughout, so I've got little specks of colour, and that onion is also spread quite evenly as well. So next just becomes the shaping. So when making nuggets, they don't actually have to be a particular shape, but what I like to do is make small meatballs first and then press down when you put it into the breadcrumbs later. Just be mindful as well with children that this is raw chicken mince, and just be mindful of the bacteria risk associated. So just make sure that they're not eating it like they may do with things like cookie dough. It's not the same. And also washing their hands straight after they deal with this mixture as well, just so the fingers don't end up in the mouth with that raw chicken. So the next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a plate of breadcrumbs. You can do this in a bowl. I'm just doing it in a plate so you can see what I'm up to. So just pouring some breadcrumbs out, probably about half a cup. Then what we're going to do is put each of the nuggets into the breadcrumb mixture and just roll it around until it's well coated. And then you can actually put it back on the same plate that you just put it on. So I've finished rolling the balls there. The next thing I'm going to turn on my fry pan. I'm going to heat the oil in the fry pan on a medium to high heat. Just a drizzle of oil, about a tablespoon, just a drizzle is fine. This is just so it doesn't stick. We can always add a little bit more if it's going to get stuck in areas. So I'll move my nuggets over this way. I've got an electric fry pan, so it heats up quite quickly, but wait till the oil is nice and hot before we pop the nuggets in. I'm also putting the nuggets in their ball shape, and then I'm going to get my spatula and flatten them from there. And press down until they're about 1 centimetre thick. So that means they're going to cook a lot faster. If you are looking for a little bit more of a set and forget option, you can spray the nuggets with some oil and pop them in the oven and cook them that way until they're cooked through. You might need to flip them over halfway through just so that crisping up on the outside on both sides. So I'm looking at these and they're actually cooking through nice and quickly, and they've got some beautiful brown colour underneath. So I think they're ready for flipping. Oh, so they look gorgeous. They've got some beautiful colour. See if I can try to bring up the pan and show you. Some beautiful colour on them. So if you'd like to check to see if they're ready, I just like to use my spatula to chop one in half. And what you're looking for, if there's any kink inside the mixture, that's indicating to me that the chicken mince isn't cooked through and you need to leave them on. If it's looking nice and white with a little coloured speck throughout, then you're good to go. I'll just chop one in half, and I've got no pink on the inside. So this first batch is ready to go. What we can do is serve that up onto a dinner plate, or the alternative, to put some in a little lunchbox container so that you can take them on the run. There we go. So that's the first batch there. So as you can see, some beautiful colouring. So if you're going to put them in the oven, you may not get that same colouring with the browning, but they'll still cook through just fine. So with this recipe, it wasn't about hiding vegetables in the meal. Having the kids being aware that they're having the zucchini and the carrot in this meal and enjoying it in this meal can help them to accept it in other ways as well. So then if you were just eating the carrots any other way, something like that later on, it's a familiar food. So really important that when we're exposing kids to vegetables, being aware that it does take multiple exposures to like a new vegetable, and every little exposure does count. Thank you for coming along to today's cook along and cooking the chicken veggie nuggets with me. I really hope you enjoy them.